Hi, I'm Chaplain Fred Schaeffer with Procare Hospice of Nevada, and this is Hope for Today. One of my favorite things in nature are those colorful arches placed in the sky by God. Those colorful arches called rainbows. When I grew up in Daytona Beach, Florida years ago, I happened to see one of those all-time favorite rainbows of my life, arched over the Atlantic Ocean from one end to the other, it seemed. If you Google poems about rainbows, you'll find any number of poems about those colorful arches in the sky. This one is simply called The Rainbow by Charles Lamb. After the tempest in the sky, how sweet yon rainbow to the eye. Come, my Matilda, now while some few drops of rain are yet to come. In this honeysuckle bower, safely sheltered from the shower, we may count the colors o'er. 7 there are no more, each in each so finely blended. Where they begin or where they are ended, the finest eye can scarcely see. In Genesis chapter 9 from Scriptures, verses 12 to 17, we find another literature declaration about rainbows. It says this, "Then God said, I am giving you a sign of my covenant with you and with all living creatures for all generations to come. I've placed my rainbow in the clouds. It is a sign of my covenant with you and with all the earth. When I send clouds over the earth, the rainbow will appear in the clouds, and I will remember my covenant with you and with all living creatures. Never again will the floodwaters destroy all of life. When I see the rainbow in the clouds, I will remember the eternal covenant between God and every living creature on earth." And then God said to Noah, "Yes, this rainbow is a sign of the covenant I am confirming with all the creatures on earth." Genesis 9:12 to 17. Now this passage from the first book of the Bible comes after the great flood. You know the story. Noah and his family had been hunkered down in the ark with a whole lot of animals for 40 days and 40 nights. We here today, with this great pandemic, have known what it's like to be hunkered down. The smell inside the ark with all those animals was probably like driving by one of those huge cattle ranches on I-5 in California, between Southern California and Northern California. With all those cattle droppings, the smell can be bad. For 40 days it had been raining, a real gully washer. The sewers would have been backed up, and then the rain was stopped, or at least it had subsided most of the way, and there, right there, up in the cloud-laden skies, God places a rainbow. 7 colors, a prism through the raindrops or moisture in the air. Now, these last few months, we've had our share of storms, not rainstorms necessarily, but at least emotional storms, physical storms, political storms, financial storms, spiritual storms, racist storms. And the clouds may not have been overhead in the sky, but I would say that the clouds of these metaphorical or figurative storms have been just as dark, just as hard to endure. But I would also suggest that there have been countless rainbows for us to see and to notice, rainbows of love. Matthew chapter 5, 14 to 16 talks about light. And remember that rainbows, you need the light shining through the moisture to make that happen. It says, "You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. And in the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." Now, I'm no scientist, so here's what you may find if you look up how a rainbow happens. It says a rainbow is a meteorological phenomenon that is caused by reflection, retraction, and dispersion of light in water droplets, resulting in a spectrum of light appearing in the sky. It takes the form of a multicolored circular arc. Rainbows caused by sunlight always appear in the section of sky directly opposite the sun. So here are some rainbows of humankind that I've read about. Maybe you've read about. Khalid Hockley has made it her year-long mission to visit senior centers and sing to residents. She's done it for years. The Chicago-based performer hit a snag when the coronavirus started spreading, and so she decided to bring in some literally heavy machinery. With nursing homes across the country prohibiting visitors, Colette rented a 30-foot cherry picker bucket truck to serenade residents from a safe distance outside the 3rd and 4th floor windows of Chicago Methodist Senior Services. She's been singing to seniors and Alzheimer's patients across the country since 2014, long time. When the pandemic hit, and she realized she could no longer go inside of the nursing home, she decided she had to take some drastic measures. And so she turned to Google and she typed in cherry picker rentals. After calling a few local rental companies, she asked friends to pitch in to help defray the rental cost. And after receiving the necessary permissions and signing a waiver, she soon found herself placing her 28-inch speaker and wireless microphone into the bucket on a giant piece of unfamiliar construction equipment. She made a big hit with the seniors in the center. She was indeed a blessing, a living rainbow of love. In Naperville, Illinois, in the midst of the social unrest surrounding George Floyd's death last month, one family created a stunning chalk mural to highlight and embrace the different facets that make up American society. Amber White, whose children are biracial, told a news organization that we went one weekend and we decided just to go ahead and chalk and talk, and we did that and talked about love and inclusion and treating everyone we encounter with kindness. She said kids from throughout the area came to their downtown Naperville home to help with the mural. White said her husband, who's African American, manages a restaurant in downtown Chicago, near where a lot of the weekend's rioting and looting had been taking place. So it was particularly a challenging weekend for her and her family. While she said that it was a challenge, too, to talk to children about George Floyd's death, along with talking to them about the protests and the unrest surrounding it. She told this news organization, "We found that through art and talking about how we are all different but the same, and how we can all come together to create," I love this, "to create something beautiful." I love how it speaks about rainbows on this one website I found about symbolism of rainbows. It says, rainbows speak directly to our heart and soul, filling us with awe and energies of liquid love. Isn't that a neat duo of words? Liquid love pouring out all around us. Rainbows bring the promise that the troubles of today will surely come to pass. Hold strong in your faith and vision, and the rainbow will bring fresh beginnings and new opportunities. Here in Las Vegas, there have been groups who got together to make sure people in need had food. Others made masks for frontline workers. I work with nurses and others who care for persons in their last journey of life. Acts of love. Our own church that I attend, Good Samaritan Lutheran Church, collects food and distributes the food every month. And all of these are points of light, if you would. Rainbows among the clouds of a pandemic and racism and heartache. Rainbows of God's amazing love and grace. I pray today that you might experience a loving, living rainbow in your own life. I'm Fred Schaeffer, and those are words of hope.